Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful to be together as always with you all, and together with our beautiful family joining us from all over the world on Facebook, on YouTube, on different channels, but using this gift of technology to be with us here on the banks of Ganga and allowing us to remember that beautiful truth of being together not only physically, but that our Sangha expands. Not only those who are sitting here physically, but all of those joining from all over the world online. What a blessing it is to be together with all of you. As usual, we'll start with a question that comes in from our global family, and then open it up to anyone here who has any questions. In line with what we were talking about in Arti just now, it's Thanksgiving here in the United States, and I just had to ask, what is the key to a more grateful life? As I said in the Arti just a little while ago, most of us have gratitude backwards. We think, first I should get what I want. When I get what I want, then I will feel happy. When I feel happy, then I will feel grateful. First happy, that of course happens when I get what I want, and then out of that happiness will spring gratitude. That's how most of us think. But actually it's the exact opposite. Being grateful is actually that which makes us happy. There have been study after study after study showing that the more grateful we are, the happier we are. And so everyone needs to start a gratitude practice. As I said in the Arti, we celebrate holidays, all of them, teaching us how to make them holy days. Whether they are holidays of our tradition, our religion, our country, our culture, or not. Doesn't matter. Holidays are wonderful opportunities to take the message, take the teaching of how we can learn something. So, yeah, it's Thanksgiving. And whether you're living on the soil of America, whether you're American but living on the soil somewhere else, or whether neither are you American nor are you living in America, either way, let us grab this opportunity to become more grateful. And it's such a beautiful practice every morning and every evening. Think about as many things as you can that you're grateful for. Most of us have in our mind these expectations and attachments of what we want. They happen, great. They don't happen, we are angry and frustrated and miserable and jealous. But ask yourself when you wake up in the morning, did you wake up? Think about how many people went to bed last night and didn't wake up this morning. Think about how many people went to bed beside a loved one, and that loved one was not alive in the morning. Whether a loved one in their bed, in their house, or just in the world, Think about how many people, when they wake up in the morning, don't have eyes that are able to see, don't have legs that are able to walk. If when you wake up in the morning, you're alive, you can open your eyes and see something, you've got legs that can carry you into a bathroom, you've got water coming out of a tap that you just have to turn the knob, there's food in your fridge, in your cupboards, or somewhere nearby that you could get if you wanted it. If you've got someone in your bed, in your home, in your community, in the world, who you love and who loves you, not necessarily romantic by any means, anyone who you love and who loves you, consider yourself more blessed than 99% of the people in the world. If you've got all of those things, eyes that work, legs that work, water coming out of a tap, food you can eat, someone you love and who loves you, we are so blessed. Be thankful for all that. And at the end of the day, even if in your mind nothing went right, well, did your heart keep beating? Did your lungs keep bringing in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide? Did your stomach figure out how to digest the junk you put into it? Did your legs move on command? You said stand, you stood. The mind said walk, you walked. If you had all those things work in your favor in a day, you're so blessed. And then, did you have any water to drink? Did you have any food to eat? Were you able to pray according to how you want to? To pray in the way, in the name, in the form, in the place that you want to. If you can string all those things together, doesn't matter if the project you were working on didn't get accepted by your boss. Doesn't matter if you got stuck in traffic and missed this or missed that. Doesn't matter if someone was rude to you. If you've got all that, you are so blessed. Be so grateful. So the best way to start a gratitude practice is just to start. I know I've got a personal gratitude practice where every morning, literally, before I get out of bed, I say things I'm grateful for. There are mornings, I have to admit, where I go to the bathroom and come back. There are those mornings. But I don't start my day without the gratitude practice. And I do it in bed, before anything else starts. Because it changes how the day goes. And it's so beautiful because every morning my creativity blossoms and I find more and more things to be grateful for. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful practice. Just start. And you'll see how it changes you. And lastly, try to spread it. As you are working a gratitude practice, try to spread it. Have you told the people in your life how grateful you are for them? Family members, friends, colleagues, staff, whoever it is, have we told them how grateful we are? And if not, then try, start. One of my dearest, dearest, dearest friends and just loves and mentors is a man named Dr. Bruce Lipton, who many of you may have heard of. He's a brilliant, brilliant scientist. And Bruce is the most grateful man that I know. The most grateful. Whenever you see him, he gushes so much that I don't get uncomfortable very easily. I start to get uncomfortable. Oh, I am so grateful for you. I mean, he goes on in such a way. And not just with me, I've seen him do it with everyone he meets. And he's so sincere, it's not ooper-dooper say. From the depth of his heart, he has found such gratitude that it just overflows in abundance for everyone he meets. And he tells you. And he tells you and tells you and tells you until, again, even when you're someone who usually doesn't get uncomfortable, you start to feel like, stop. And it's so interesting because it makes you realize how unhabituated we are to receiving gratitude. Think about the last time someone told you thank you. And what most of us usually say is, don't worry about it, it's okay, it was no big deal. Now, on the one hand, we think that's very humble. But what it's actually doing, though, is it's stopping the energetic flow of gratitude. Someone is flowing gratitude towards you. And you're stopping it. It's nothing. I didn't really do anything. Anyone would have done it. No big deal. I do it every day. Whatever it may be. I've learned that along with the practice of being grateful, there's a very beautiful practice of accepting gratitude. And just being in the presence, not with a sense of ego or doership. It's not, oh yeah, you're right, I'm so great. It's with an awareness that the gratitude stems from their greatness. It actually says a lot more about them than it does about you. And that you've been given this opportunity to witness and be in the presence of such greatness because their gratitude is overflowing. And use it instead of trying to block it or instead of allowing the ego to kick in and be like, oh yeah, I'm so great. Instead, see whether that person's gratitude can turn on your internal gratitude mechanism. What are you grateful for about them? What are you grateful for about the opportunity that you had to do whatever they are grateful for? Clearly, you were given an opportunity. And you were given an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life, such that they are now grateful. Well, we should be grateful for that opportunity. So every moment presents us with an opportunity to be grateful. And again, whether you're living in America or not, whether you're American or not, why not use the day? It's Thanksgiving. It's an auspicious day to learn how to give thanks. If everyone in the world learned to be truly grateful, it would take a holiday that actually, on another subject, which we won't get into, but nonetheless it's important to mention, that actually is predicated upon horrible oppression and suppression and theft and decimation of indigenous peoples by the Americans when they landed in America. So historically, there's nothing to celebrate. Historically, it's a shameful holiday. Historically, the only thing to celebrate is the resilience of indigenous people who, hundreds of years after that, are still here, strong with their wisdom and their traditions. But if we could actually use it as a holiday to share and spread true gratitude, then we might begin to bring some positive energy to the historical massacre that the holiday actually commemorates. Does anyone here have any questions? Yes. Yes. Namaste.
My question is, how to consciously stop brain's freeze response, which it might have created somewhere in the past.
The freeze response.
Freeze response, and its effects, like for example, if it has created neural pathways on the body and created stress hormones.
Can you tell me what you mean by the freeze response?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, freeze response is it doesn't allow you to do some things which actually otherwise it's normal for people to do.
So, just to clarify, when I think of freezing, I think of two things. He's asked, how do we free ourselves from this freeze response if we've set patterns in our brain? Now, when I think of freezing, I think of two things. I think of freezing in the moment, as in you're in a job interview, you're totally qualified for the job. The person interviewing you asks a question, and you quite literally freeze. You cannot speak, you cannot answer, and you end up obviously losing the job. But when you just talked about not being able to do things that people can do, I wonder also whether you're not talking about a self-inhibition that would prevent you even, for example, from applying for the job. That would prevent you from sending in a resume, that would prevent you from even going on the interview. Because there's a sense inside that prevents you from moving forward in any direction. Can you just let me know which of those it is? The second one. Okay. So this is something that we refer to a lot as self-sabotage. Meaning, I've got all of these wonderful skills, abilities, opportunities, and yet something within me makes me not utilize them, not take the opportunity, actually harm my own possibilities. Keep myself stuck, keep myself low. And that usually comes from a sense within ourselves that we are not enough, that we are lacking in some way. It usually comes from childhood. We either heard it very directly from a parent, a close family member who told us we were stupid, or we were lazy, or we were not responsible, or we were never going to become anything. And so we believed it. Or maybe we didn't necessarily hear it directly, but maybe we were the younger brother of someone who was just a superstar. And everywhere you went in the world, everyone compared you to your older brother. And you never quite could live up. And they kept saying to you, but why can't you do that? Your brother could. And so your own voice decided, I will never be as good as he is. I will never be able to accomplish and achieve. And so inside, at a young age, you decide, forget it. Forget it. Either way, the key is to number one, and this is where psychology and spirituality mix so beautifully, is to ask yourself the question, when was the first time that I remember this happening? When was the first time that I remember myself not even bothering to study for an exam, not even bothering to apply for the yearbook committee or for the student council or something I wanted to do, but I didn't even bother? When was the first time I remembered doing that? Because I knew I was never going to be able to be successful. And go back to that time in your mind and try to see if you can remember what happened just before that. Because presumably there was a time in your life, maybe only early childhood, where you did have confidence and you did have courage. And you tried out for the baseball team or whatever it was. And then something happened. Someone said something, someone did something, some pattern in your life started. And that's very helpful to go back and understand where it comes from. Because then we're able to realize, oh my God, that was just, my mom or my dad or my teacher having a really bad day. My parents were in the midst of a divorce. Or my mom had just lost her father. She was frustrated. Yes, of course she yelled at me, but she didn't mean it. My teacher had just lost her husband. She was miserable. That's why she said it. Whatever it may have been, if you can go back to when it started, it gives us some clarity. And it helps us realize that whoever told us that or wherever we got that idea, it's not true. And then we develop the strength to realize I don't have to throw away my life just because of something that someone said to me decades ago or some experience that I had in childhood. We are here as the divine on earth. It is our responsibility and our opportunity both to live that fully and to never doubt yourself. So sometimes it takes just a little bit of a push to go to that interview, to send in the resume, to just do it. And this is where good friends come in. It's where partners come in. It's where sometimes you just need someone to push you through, to just break the pattern. And this is where, when we were talking about the neural patterns, the neural networks, you just have to start laying new ones. And what I would suggest is start small. Start small, whatever it may be. Choose something that you're going to do, and then just do it. Follow it through. Something little. Just follow it through. And then choose something bigger. Every day in the morning, choose something you're going to do that day. And that you will not have supper until you've done it. So naturally at the end of the day, you're hungry. But if you haven't done it, you're not going to get your dinner. And it'll slowly start giving you new neural networks, new patterns, new ways. Because what someone said or did decades ago, in a moment of their own anger or confusion, is not something we should give up our lives for. We have to take that responsibility back and just do it. Pretend your life is a Nike ad. Wonderful. Yes. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes. Yeah, you can just take the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So about the freeze response, a lovely question. And I think a lot of us do that in our emotional and love life, love with parents, with children, with siblings. So the freeze response, I think, comes, a lot of people are not able to emote what they would really should say at that moment, but they just freeze.
Yes.
Because they're overwhelmed or they don't know how to say it, when to say it, and what to say. So that's also a lot in the emotional way.
Absolutely. And this is where taking just a moment and connecting with our breath is so powerful and beneficial. Because when you're in the middle of an emotional situation, either we freeze, we don't say what we should say, or we say a lot of things we shouldn't say. They both happen. We say a lot of things we shouldn't say because we are in a stress response, in an anger response. On autopilot, we're not connected to our heart. We're not connected to our truth. And so just a simple practice of a deep breath makes all the difference. And in terms of those that we don't say them because a lot of us put up borders. We don't want to be vulnerable. We should say sorry. We should say I love you. But we don't. Because that makes us feel very vulnerable. And we feel like that makes me weak. And we like to have the upper hand even in our personal relationships. And that's where it's so critical for us to realize, kya mil raha hai? What am I getting if I keep the upper hand? What do you get in that situation? Ultimately, the point of our relationships, and again, whether they are romantic relationships, friends, all of them, the point of the yoga of relationship is actually to use relationship in a way to connect with the truth of who we are through that person. But if we've got walls and borders and boundaries and roles and masks and costumes and dramas up, we're never going to connect. The best we're going to do is play a very good part. But that doesn't serve us. We need to have the courage to be vulnerable. And again, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what do I really need to share? What is the truth of what I'm feeling right now? A lot of us get angry when really what we are is afraid. We get angry when really we are feeling pain. Someone does something that hurts us. But instead of vulnerably saying, that made me scared, not you hurt me, but that made me scared because it made me feel like maybe you don't love me as much as I want you to love me. Well, that's very vulnerable. To get angry, to say, how dare you? You idiot, you this, you that, to slam doors or to point fingers. That's safe. It's got a wall. But it doesn't actually address the core issue. The core issue is whatever they did has hurt me. And in that hurt, it has suddenly made me very afraid about the strength of this relationship. If someone loves me, how could they do that? If they did it, does that mean they don't love me? And if they don't love me, oh my God, kya hoga mujhko? So really what we're feeling is fear. But we protect ourselves from the fear by anger. And that just creates the division more and more and more, and then we actually do push them away. Have the courage to be vulnerable. Take a moment. your house is not the share market where if you're 15 seconds late in giving a response, suddenly, you've missed the opportunity. It's not like you're on the floors of Wall Street or whatever, where things every half second are changing. Take 10 seconds. Take 15 seconds. Close your eyes. Figure out, what am I feeling here? And then share it. And what that'll do is it will connect you deeply in your heart. And it'll create that heart space for the other person then to respond. And then here we are together in a heart-to-heart moment, rather than an ego-to-ego head bash that just pushes us farther away from each other. But it takes courage. It takes vulnerability. But it's probably the very best relationship advice I could give. And you'll find at the end of the day, regardless of how the other person responds, that you're so clear with yourself. And there's such a great inner, not pride, pride's not the right word, but inner joy. Inner sense of, I was so honest. I was so clear. I was so there. I was so present. नींद आएगी अच्छी तरह से आपको, regardless of how they respond. आपकी नींद बड़ी आएगी. Beautiful. Yes. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. And a beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from around the world. And so, so much love to you all.